welcome to the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show. My name is Benita Lambert, and I have the honor of hosting the show every single week. And I want to thank David Goodman for leaving us this platform so that I could invite wonderful guests on, like we have today, to provide our community with all different types of resources. So today we're going to be talking to two marketing consultants for Bryson Associates. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Jordy Foster.
Hey, everybody.
He is a branding strategist. And Miss Amanda Hinkson.
Yes.
She is a social media strategist. Oh, but just saying social media, you got everybody's attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
You really, really do.
They don't pay me any mind. They're like, Brandon.
Yeah, right. Branding. What is that? So I want to welcome you both to the show. Thank you for taking time out of your day to
Absolutely.
come on. And thank you for sharing with our audience about marketing strategies and branding and so forth. So before we get started, can we just start with you, Jordy? Just tell our audience a little bit about yourself and how you got started in all this.
Absolutely. So, hi, everybody. My name is Jordy Lakeem Foster. And when I tell people what a brand strategist is, I got into it because I specialize in a specific type of photography, which is branding photography. And I started to notice that a lot of my clients didn't really know what to do with their pictures after I would help them create it for a new product launch or a campaign launch or a store launch. So that sent me down a pathway to help them figure out what the next steps were, which I then realized they needed help articulating their story, articulating the problems that they solved, the communities that they served. And over time, what that evolved into is me helping corporations, companies, and my little pitch when people ask me what I do is I help coaches, consultants, speakers, and high-level entrepreneurs create relevant content to attract more leads to their business, to have people put some respect on what they do, and ultimately to help them grow their business.
I'm gonna need you. See, I might need you. You can take a look at my stuff for me.
Absolutely, and that's one of the reactions that come out. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, like I have something I'm launching that I need help with, because when you say branding, it covers so many different things.
Yeah.
So, I like to break it down to the essence of what I'm helping you to do. And fun fact, before I pass it on to Amanda, is a lot of people miss the best marketing opportunity when people ask them what they do, because they just tell them, oh, I'm a insert their job title. But what I train people to do is, like, for example, if you're a real estate professional, you want to, hey, I help, for example, like families of two move into suburban neighborhoods so that they can provide a better life for their family. That sounds better than I'm a real estate professional that does commercial real estate. Like, well, okay.
Okay, all right, I understand that. Well, maybe I won't need your help because I'm already doing that. I help people protect themselves, their families, and their nest eggs. Is that what you're talking about? Instead of saying, I am an insurance agent.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
I'm a step ahead of you then.
Yeah,
Well, I'm a
exactly.
step ahead of the game. Thank you.
Yep,
Thank
absolutely,
you.
absolutely.
Amanda, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and
Yes.
what a social media strategist really does?
Yes,
It
yes.
sounds like fun because it's on social media.
Yep.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Hinkson. I am, by day, I wear many hats. I am the director of operations for a day program in New York. So I handle all the logistics and operations for one of the largest day programs in New York City. We have over 350 people that we support. So I handle the logistics and really the strategy and ensuring that that day-to-day is running.
One question, what day program? What is
Yes.
a day program?
So a day
exactly?
program is a place where people who are 21 or older who have developmental disabilities go to once they have aged out of the school system. So we kind of provide, we foster programs geared towards their day-to-day living from a Monday through Friday, 8 to 2:30. So when people forget, hey, when my child has aged out of school at the age of 21 and they have a disability, what happens to them? What services are they given? What interaction, engagement are they provided with? And that's where we come in and we provide those supports to families in residential settings.
Wow, that is huge.
Yes.
You don't think about things like that unless you're in that situation.
Yeah.
So it's good for our audience to know that because they may be in that situation and may not know where to go for help.
Exactly.
And that's the purpose of having professionals like yourself on the show to share this information. We're also on YouTube, so please, anybody watching, feel free to share it. You can send it via text message or just go right on and subscribe to our site.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
That is so wonderful. I always wondered, just to sidetrack for a minute, what happened to the kids that were in like foster care? And when they turn 18, what happens to them? They have to leave their house.
Yeah.
They give them like a check or something that lasts, what 2 days? And then they're on their own.
Yeah.
That's it.
So very similar to people with disabilities, right? They have aged out of the school system. How do we ensure that they're getting services? A parent can't do everything, right? And a lot of these people with disabilities may not get a job. Not to say they're all not going to get a job, but they may not get a job. They may not be able to live on their own. And so our organization is able to foster the next steps for them. And they don't just come to our day program, but they're being habilitated. They're being able to be taught independent so they can move forward and they could progress. We always want to see things as, oh, they can't do it, but what is the possibility? Even if it doesn't happen, if we change the foundation of our thought process and say, what is the possibility of them achieving all these things that that the community said that they were limited to, you take things to a whole different perspective for them.
And these are people with physical and mental
Yes.
disabilities.
Autism, there may low vision, no vision, deaf. So we have a lot of different disabilities that we cater to. So that's the first hat. Then the second
Okay, hat number two. We on to hat number two.
Is what brings me here is social media. I started out as a makeup artist about 10 years ago. And in makeup artistry, I have been on a lot of sets. I've done a lot of content creation. And one thing I realized in working with Jordy, because Jordy is what brought me to social media, is that he would take pictures of people and trying to establish a brand. Then they get on social media and they're like, what to do with it? Where am I going to go? And so I saw a niche of people who were lacking the direction for social media, and I began to study the art of social media. And I think what makes it unique, and I like to tell people about my experience in corporate, is we live in a generation right now where everyone is doing content creation. Everyone is a content creator. But what happens is a lot of creatives lack the structure to really grow social media, really grow their content, and they miss the analytics behind it because they're just creating content, but what is the goal of this content? And what social media does, and as a social media strategist, we create strategy. And I have a history of creating strategy working in corporate and dealing with large organizations. And so in social media strategy, I'm able to say the pictures that you took, the videos that you recorded, how is this going to enhance your business? And it's a new thing that started a few years ago that people are starting to pay more attention to. And I have the ability to really structurize that for the client, for the business, and also provide analytical data to show, is this going in the right direction for us? And then the purpose of Jordy and I working together is so people can understand. People look at social media and say, I want social media, right? But they forget that social media is a part of marketing. So Jordy is the captain, and I am just a piece of what goes on in marketing, whether it's PR. There's so many branches that go on in marketing that people forget. Like they'll tap on my door and be like, hey, Amanda, I want social media. But then how is branding going to impact your social media? Like Coca-Cola, you know what color Coca-Cola is, you know the signature, you know everything about them. So when Coca-Cola posts on social media, they have a consistent brand that they've established, and it allows me to be able to know their target audience and what content I'm going to create because they've established a brand for themselves. So that's kind of what why Jordy and I work together and how it works so well.
I see. So if I'm an insurance agent
Yeah.
and you are my social media strategist,
Mm-hmm.
how, and I've already established what
Yeah.
I do, why I do it, and who I do it with Jordy, the brand.
Mhm.
So how would you track what I'm doing, or how would people follow me? Would there be like a word like insurance? And
So-
every time people look for insurance, I will pop up?
So what we do is, so now you've established a brand. So we have your brand identity and everything that goes with it, right? And
Yeah.
then I say, okay, now let's create a social media strategy.
So, excuse me, the brand would be insurance?
Well,
I just want to follow.
yeah, like, and I'll piggyback off of that, right? So when we say we develop your brand identity, there's a few components to it. One of them that people often associate with the brand is your colors or your logo or your fonts, right? That's what people typically see. That's the tangible part. So when you go into a Popeyes or a T-Mobile or any type of store, they always have the same color, everybody has on the same uniform, and they provide the same experience no matter what country you go into.
Exactly.
A lot of businesses miss the mark on that because they're not focused on the experience, because they just want the result. So the intangible part of the brand, before you get to social media, that a lot of people skip the step and then they get stuck and then they have to come back to the drawing board, is their story isn't fully documented or written down. So your brand story the structure of it is, who are you? How did you come to have the skill set that you have? What are the impacts? Who are your role models? And what are the experiences that you had up to this point of your expertise? When you package that up, you now have to look at who is the group of people that you serve. And there's 4 things that we typically look at. One of them is, do these people need what you have? 2, do they have the money and can they afford it? 3 is, are they findable? Because some people pick groups of people to serve and it's like a dime a dozen. You don't want to do that. And then the 4th part is the market growing or shrinking? I had a lady one time that sold hula hoops. Her strategy, right, and I have to use this example, her strategy was she was going to walk up and down 125th Street, because I got her through some ads, and her strategy was she was going to hula hoop down Harlem on 125th, and then as people were like seeing her, they would stop her and then she'd tell them about the business. So I asked her, so what's going to happen during the winter? Had no answer for me. So that's an example of somebody who has a business structure, but it's not sustainable, and then it's not a growing market either, because nobody needs hula hoops, right? So X are out. Now, the brand strategy, so all of that I just listed tailgates into your marketing plan. And your marketing plan now dictates what activities you do on a month-to-month basis. So there are plenty of strategies that you could do. You could host weekly events. You could do monthly events. You could do outreach to people, partnerships, run ads, create content. But what the marketing plan does is it gives you a focus. So as opposed to doing 5, 6 different strategies, we do an analysis of how much resources you have in your business, and then we pick the 2 to 3 things, sometimes 1 just to start. The one thing that you're so good at that's working, and then we just maximize the hell out of that. And what happens with a lot of businesses is they try to do too many things. Like they try to act like Goliath when they need to act like David. And just get that one stone in the sling and just keep doing that. So a lot of companies try to act too big before their time, and then they go in a lot of different directions, and then they can't capitalize on the growth that they can maximize. If they really look at what they're doing, there's like 1, 2 things that you're really good at. So to answer your question, so once we figure out that, now the social media comes in and it implements that on the social stratosphere, so to speak. So now we look at, okay, like if you're doing life insurance, right? I would ask you, so let me ask you, right, like, who's your ideal client for life insurance?
Who's my client?
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
my target market?
Yeah, your target audience, your ideal target
For
market.
life insurance,
Yeah.
everyone.
Okay.
Everyone.
Okay, right? Could be, but there's perhaps some common traits in a small group of people within who you serve where you don't have to convince them that much, where they have an understanding of what some policies may be beneficial to their families. And if you speak to them, you may only have 1-2 meetings as opposed to 3 to 4. So whenever somebody tells me everybody, I say, well, could be, but if you focus on a specific type of group, you'll actually be able to grow more. So,
You know what, believe it or not, this makes so much sense to me because it's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
I don't just do life insurance, I also do Medicare. So my target market are seniors. I focus on seniors and everything kind of stems from there because if you start with the
Okay.
grandmama, there's some mamas and then there's some grandbabies and they all need life insurance. So then I roll into the next thing. And one of the things that you said that really just solidified that I'm doing, kind of the right thing, is I don't try to do everything. I only do the few things that work for me. And I kind of stick with that. And I summarize everything I do in a little small presentation, and I customize it for each individual.
yeah.
And so I think I'm on track based on what you're telling me. I think I'm on track.
So here's what we would do with somebody
like
like you. What we would do with somebody like you is we would now create social media campaigns.
Okay, now that part I don't know anything about.
And here's how this would work. So you're very clear about who you serve. You know the few good things that you do really well, and you keep doing that over and over, because sometimes people get bored. Now what we would do is position you to be able to go speak at events, to go have seminars, to teach people, to educate.
And targeting the people that you discuss. So for me, as a social media strategist, it's important that you have the brand foundation, because then people skip that and come to me, and now we're all over the place because I'm creating this content, that content. And if we know our target audience, if we know the things that are working, now I can create a strategy behind that. And I start with a 30-day strategy. And then I say, okay, what are our content pillars? And content pillars is the foundational tools of the strategy. And I look at the brand marketing, the business marketing plan, and say, okay, we have a plan for the next year.
Yeah.
And what are we trying to hit? We're trying to increase our store locations. Or let's take Coke, for instance. Or let's say
Coca-Cola?
Let's say Coca-Cola.
Just
Sorry,
in
guys.
case, you know?
Coca-Cola, not Coke. But let's say Coca-Cola is,
Yeah.
because I can tell you right now, I'm not the target audience for Coke, because I'm not going to drink Coca-Cola, because I'm not going to drink soda.
Yeah.
But if they're saying, Amanda, we saw a decrease of, let's say, perfect example, during the summer. In the summer in general, there's a lot of parties. We want to increase our ads. We want to increase our social media presence during this quarter, because we know that everyone is going to party. People are really going to want my Coca-Cola. So then I know that there's a plan already in place, a strategy in place. So then they come to me and I say, all right, so now that's one of our content pillars. One of the content pillars is increased promotion during the summer. I'm just giving an example.
And I'd like to add to that too, because now the question that we'd ask you would be, do you want to increase the size of your team so that way you have insurance agents under you and you could get commission from the deals that they close? Do you want to retire soon? Do you want to branch off into different markets? Do you want to open up your own independent firm? Those are the questions that we'd ask you, because you have so much experience to give. And then from a branding level, I would say to you, hey, so if you want to increase your team over time, we create a plan to do that. And what we do is we package up your expertise, and then we would put you in a position to be able to attract opportunity to you. A lot of people try to reach out for opportunity, and you should, because outreach is a fundamental part of marketing. A big part of where the world is going that's going to hit a lot of insurance agents over the next 5 to 10 years is a lot of the OGs are becoming irrelevant. I had a lady the other day.
Excuse me.
No, not you. We're not talking about you guys. No. Like, you guys are good.
Just kidding.
You guys are good.
You guys are not OGs.
I had a lady, real estate professionals. Her gross commission income is $300,000 a year. The properties that she sells are $1 million to $10 million, nothing less than that. She said to me, Jordy, I'm so pissed that I've been doing this for 2.5 decades and I'm pretty successful in my career, but I go into certain places and nobody knows who the hell I am, and it annoys me. And I was like, wow, like, she's so good at what she does, but she never took the time to pass the baton on to anybody else. So she's good in her circles, but now she's not leaving any legacy.
Well, and then this
No
also.
business legacy or for
Business-
her family, like a contingent?
Well, not for her family, but like business legacy, because
Okay.
what I found and what we found is that like high achievers, their standard for success is like most people will be good with $300,000, but for her it's like, man, I'm trying to put up $500,000, $1 million. I'm trying to expand my team. I'm trying to hire these people,
Right.
move into that market. So for her standard is like, hey, I'm trying to grow this thing much bigger, you know?
I understand. So my standard would be, I'm trying to help as many people as I possibly can. I'm not driven by the dollar.
Yeah.
Because I work for free sometimes. So
Yeah.
that would be my standard.
Yeah.
So when you say leave a business standard, like, you know, I don't know, like Aunt Jemima pancakes or something like that. Like
Yeah.
everybody knows this pancake because it's been on the shelf for so long.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay, I got what you mean now.
Even think about the pancakes, right? When she came out after Black Lives Matter, everyone decided we want to change the name of the syrup, right? So now a strategy was, they sat down in a room
Yeah.
with a strategy and said we need to change the brand, given the time of what we were in during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So now they come back to the social media strategists and say, hey, we want to create a visual brand. Now the content pillars are usually the foundational. We want, as a social media strategist, my job is to create a box. I put the business in the box, but still allow you the opportunity to move around, but we're still within the structure.
Yes.
So if one of the things is, hey, we want to reestablish ourselves as a brand and remove this slavery type of theme on the pancake syrup, what are we going to do about it? And so now one of the content pillars is redefining my brand. So that means the content that I'm going to create is going to change. It's going to realign with what the direction that the company, the business strategy is going in.
Brand strategy.
Brand strategy and your business model and what
Yes.
and
Yeah.
where they're going.
Exactly.
Because, and even when you're creating the content, you have to say to yourself, like I have people who don't have any branding, and so I'll create content for them, and we're struggling because I've added a logo, but the words are not the same, the logo is not accurate, it's something that they just made up or got from someone that drew it for $10, and
You got to have that patent though if you're going to use something.
a lot of people
Yeah.
unfortunately don't.
Oh
And
my
so
goodness.
when we're
You'd be
creating
sued.
Yeah, and when we're creating content,
Yeah.
what happens is they'll say to me, Amanda, can you change the font? I like this green font. Oh wait, I like this red font. No. It needs to be consistent. Your message has to be consistent. And if you say as a you work with Medicaid with seniors, I say to myself now as a team, what type of content can we create that targets that audience of people?
Yeah.
Because if I create content, it might target families, like a single family household of 2-3 kids who make under $50,000. That's not the audience you're looking for. You're looking for seniors. And how is that content going to get across to them? Because we also know seniors have a technology barrier. Maybe they're being taken care of by a family member. So we want to make sure that content is geared towards them so they could see it.
Yeah.
And they can pick up the phone and call. So
Yeah.
that gives an extra layer of change. So
Yeah, exactly.
with social media strategy, number one, we're assessing the marketing plan for the business, the brand plan for the business. Then we are looking at creating content pillars. We're looking at the platforms that you want to showcase your work on, because every platform is different and
Yeah.
every one of them serves a different purpose. So if you tell me, hey, I want to use Instagram, Sometimes Instagram is not the best place for certain businesses, but LinkedIn is the best place for certain businesses. And then you say you want to increase your reach. Then I say maybe we want to put campaigns or ads that go with that social media. And then we come back to Jordy and I say, hey, we want to produce some ads because we've had clients where we produce ads for them, and then they get the ads, they get the inquiries, and then they don't follow up. So then it's like, okay, we created the strategy, the brand strategy. It was successful. They knocked on social media. We started producing the content that aligned with what they were looking for. The leads started coming back, but then it stopped. And they say, the client goes, hey, how come we're not achieving our goal? Well, everything was a circle and it stopped right there. Now let's go back and look. And as a strategy team, we're having bi-weekly meetings or weekly meetings. We're discussing changes that we have to make. Like we have a client who he says, hey, I'm coming in town. I'm going to be doing some stand-up. I'm like, okay, when are you going to do stand-up? And stand-up comedy was always in his content pillar. So we always knew we were going to be promoting stand-up. But then now he's like, hey, I'm coming to your city. I need to get people to come out and come see me. Now I got to create a stand-up comedy campaign pushing people to come to his show. So that means as a team, we're going to start doing Instagram Live or Facebook Live, whichever platforms we know that we can monetize on. Now we're giving giveaways to people. Now our captions are changing because for this short period of time, we have to ensure that people are coming to see a show. So we would have captions that said, hey, book a ticket now, screenshot it to us and send it in our DM, and you'll get a picture with our client. And they go, oh wow, I really like him. I definitely want a picture. I'm going to book a ticket. So all those intricate steps are very important in social media. Knowing your target audience, knowing the platforms that you want to monetize on. And people just sometimes, businesses don't understand they can't do everything, right? At my organization, you know, you're your own CEO. At my organization, we have a human resource department, you have a compliance department, you have a day program department, you have a finance department, you have all these different intricate things. Yeah. And the same thing with social media. As a business owner, you can't do everything.
You can't do
and like Coca-Cola, you think the CEO is posting their own content?
Right.
No, they have a team that specializes in that to ensure efficiency, because you can't be good with social media if you're not being consistent with it.
You are so right. Amanda and Jordy, this is great stuff.
Yeah.
I hope everybody shared this. We are out of time. See how it goes by so fast. We're so passionate. I want to thank you for coming on.
Yes.
You're welcome to come back.
Yes.
Any last words for the audience?
Any last words?
Yeah, you could go first.
Any last words? Don't stretch yourself too thin. You are a business. Social media is growing and constantly changing, and be open to change, be open to making sure that you grow that social media, but always have structure behind anything that you're doing.
Thank you. What about you, Jordy?
And the last thing I would say is for anybody that's looking to like build their business, expand their team for the long term, 3 things I would say is that it starts with your target audience. So what I'd like to leave you guys with is understanding who your ideal client is, because that is the foundation for every single thing that you do. And how we look at that is, do they need your service? Do they have the money, and are they willing to pay?
Awesome. I'm sorry. That's great information, but we're out of town.
Absolutely.
Out of time. Thank you so much. This is the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show, and we're on your side.